Hey, Marvel fans, if you love Marvel, if you love Marvel movies, I got something for you. I want to talk about the Thunderbolts, which just dropped on Disney Plus, and I know what you're probably going to say. I didn't check it out in theaters. I waited for it to come out on Disney Plus, and I'm really regretting that I did because this is one of my favorite Marvel movies, not because of the action, not because of the villains, not because of the arcs, but because of what it has to say about mental health, specifically with one of the characters, Bob, who turns into Sentury. Man, it is an amazing, amazing movie. I was so glad that I watched it. I literally told my wife after we finished it, I was like, that was way heavier than I thought it would be. But I love movies that tell a story, but also have a deeper meaning. I love movies that make you think and make you process after you leave the theater or you turn it off, like we did because we streamed it. So I want to talk a little bit about the Thunderbolts, man. I think that this is such a good movie. I want to look at how it really isn't telling a superhero story as much as it's really going into some of the characters and their trauma, their mental health issues, some of the things that have made them into who they are. We know that this cast of heroes are not real heroes. They're kind of Marvel's not even B team, but C team level of heroes, probably with the exception of Bucky. These guys are not guys who are looking for a hero limelight. They're looking to basically find peace because they have chaos in all of their lives, all of their past. They're running from things left and right. And I think that that actually makes them so relatable because we all have things that we are struggling with. And I think what's so cool about this movie is that you can come out of it, especially if you're a Christian, and go, man, there's so much in this that the Bible teaches, that the Bible tells us about, that God is trying to speak through. And I think that's what's so cool when you can walk out of a movie and walk into another whole area of your life like I do. Like, I love Marvel, but I also love church. I love the Lord. And I want to talk a little bit about this movie. And so we have this team of people, and they're all jacked up. These are jacked up, messed up individuals. You have John Walker. You have Yelena. You have the Red Guardian. You have Bucky, who has a ton of stuff in his past. And then you have this character, Bob. And I know I'm missing some characters. I don't have it right in front of me. I'm not trying to give you a synopsis of the movie, but rather talk about some of the main themes here. I think what's so interesting about the character of Bob is that you get kind of thrown into him and you can already tell that there's a ton of insecurity. There's a ton of just problems with him. You can tell he's not functioning normally. You can tell that something's off. And at first you think, oh, it's because he's super powerful and that's what's going on. And he's just trying to hone in his powers and all of this stuff. But it really is something that's more human and more personal. He is dealing with a ton of baggage from his past. He's got a lot of problems. They do a great job of not giving you everything immediately, but actually sprinkling in his backstory as the movie goes on, especially the culmination at the end of the movie. I should probably say this. Spoilers if you haven't seen it. Anyway, let's keep moving. And so, you can see that he is living life like he's a mistake. You can tell that he's living as if he doesn't feel worthy of even the people that he's around. He doesn't feel worthy of people's attention, of their love, of their affirmation. He says that he's a mistake. He says that he's a problem. He's always messing things up. He's muttering to himself. After he talks to a character, he'll mutter things to himself. And you can tell he's filtering everything that he's hearing or experiencing through his past experiences. And I think that's something that we all can relate with. We all have insecurities. We all make mistakes. We all have anxiety about certain things. And the way that they show this internal battle throughout the movie is very, very interesting to me. And honestly, I love it because it's not just a simple superhero narrative. It's not just an origin story. It's not just anything that we've seen before. This is really, really unique to this movie. He represents what's so many of us are going through, being overlooked, feeling unsure about ourselves, feeling very anxious. And that's what I think is so cool. Now, here's the interesting part as well. All the characters have elements of this as well. Bob just kind of becomes the forefront and the focal point of some of these issues, but they all are carrying trauma. They are all carrying baggage. They all have things that they are looking for. And honestly, they're all trying to seek redemption in some way. Right. And there's so many of these arcs. Bucky obviously has the longest one. He's been in the MCU for a very long time. And so his kind of past, the story, you know where he's at, you know where he's been, you know what he's coming from. You just see that in all of the other characters as well. And I think what's so cool about this is that the Bible is full of characters like this as well. Guys who were unsure of themselves, who had no idea what they were doing, who felt like they were unworthy to take it on, who felt overlooked by a lot of people. I'm thinking of guys like Moses who said, I can't speak, I can't lead, I can't do any of this stuff. I look at a guy like David who, yes, he stepped up to the challenge, but everybody else around him did not think that he was worthy of that. I look at a guy like Joseph, who was despised by his brothers, sold into slavery, and he ends up earning his way up to basically the second in command in Egypt. And it says in scripture that it was because of those things that God would be glorified and that people would be saved. There's so many characters in scripture that are dealing with these things. Read Psalms, man. Read Lamentations. Read all of these things. Even Job. There are tons of scriptures, stories, narratives, characters that you can read in scripture that will take some of those same themes and same things that you're seeing in the movie The Thunderbolts, and you can actually read about them in scripture and see the similarities that are there. Because there's a lot of people who don't feel qualified, who don't feel like they can do what God is asking them to do, who don't feel worthy to take it upon themselves to do that. And yet God still uses them, redeems them, restores them, and uses them for amazing things. And I think the big thing about this movie is that it really highlights this thing of, hey, it's okay not to feel those things, but it's not okay to stay there. One of the other aspects that I think is so huge, and we see this again in scripture as well, is this thing of community and having people around you. You see what happens to Bob, what happens to Sentury. You see what happens to him when he's alone. It is not good. He gives up, as a matter of fact. You have this scene at the very end of the movie where he is talking with Yelena, and they're in an attic looking like, and he literally says, I'm done fighting. This is the safest room that I can be in. And you find out that it's actually one of the most harmful because stuff is getting spoken over him as a young child. That is horrific. It's terrible. And yet he's like, I'm safe here. I'm just going to live here. This is where I'm going to be. And it's the team that comes together. There's that scene, slow motion, super epic, where they all come around him as he's beating the void up. And I know I'm jumping around. I told you I'm not giving you a synopsis. Hopefully you've seen the movie. He's beating up the void, and they come around him because they know that that's not how you defeat this thing. That's not how you do it. You do it together. You do it in community. You do it in relationship. And that's ultimately all he's ever been looking for in the first place, because he's never had affirmation. He's never had people in his corner. He's never had people who believe in him. And yet what happens when he does is it's an amazing, amazing thing. I think that what I took from this is not just the mental health stuff. This was released, I think, in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, which I think is really cool. But I think ultimately, if you're a Christian watching a movie like this, you should know that even above the people that you might have around you, you ultimately have the Lord as well. You have God on your side. And if you've never accepted Jesus, if you've never experienced what it's like to have a saving relationship with him, you can have access to him in this way. You don't have to go through things alone. You don't have to have all of these struggles, all of these battles by yourself. I remember when I was in college, that was when I had my first panic attack at 23 years old. And I remember what it was like to be alone. I remember what it was like to feel like I was the only one who was going through it. And I needed my friends, but I also needed the Lord to come in, comfort me, help pick me up, help restore me, help get me on the right track. I still struggle with anxiety. I still struggle with panic attacks. I still have that. It's a part of who I am. But you know what is amazing is God has used me through that to experience some really awesome things. I love that the Thunderbolts talks about this. I love that they were bold enough to tackle this big issue. You know, a lot of people, I was reading on IMDb because I love IMDb. I'm a super nerd when it comes to stuff like that. I want to hear about it. And there were a lot of people who were upset that Sentury, the Void, were the antagonists against this because they were so overpowered against this Thunderbolts team. And I love that the director said, no, we wanted to choose that intentionally because we wanted it to be an interpersonal conflict. We wanted to be something that was inner and inside of them. If you take the most overpowered person in Marvel, I think yet, and then you have them have a conflict within themselves, that is super compelling. And so this movie really teaches a few lessons that are pretty plain and pretty obvious if you have any sort of awareness about what they're talking about at all. And that is this: don't fight your battles alone. Reach out to somebody. If you can have a community of people that will come around you and literally wrap their arms around you sometimes, you don't have to go through things alone and be overcome by the void or the darkness. I'm trying my best not to be cheesy and not to preach because I think that this is a really cool movie. I think we also have to understand that our worth isn't based on our mistakes. It's not based on our past. It's not based on who we have been, but more of who God is for us. You know, if you're a believer, then you know that you would be in a lot different place if you were not with Jesus. But because of him, you can live a different life. And I think that just as Bob learns, man, your weaknesses can actually be the doorway to your strength if you can just share those experiences and get help, find help. And ultimately, man, there's a lot of really good resources. Find a therapist, get into counseling, be able to find professionals. And honestly, I'm going to say this as a pastor: don't just find a pastor. Find people that are professionals that can help you navigate through some of those things. Don't do things alone, because what you might find is the things that you thought were weaknesses, that you thought were mistakes, that you thought were problems about yourself can actually be used to help somebody else in another instance, in another situation. I love this movie, man. I think it's so awesome. Let me know, what did you think about the Thunderbolts? Did you see it in theaters? Did you watch it on Disney Plus? Did you notice all of these mental health things? It's really hard if you didn't. I hope that you did. Let me know what you think about it. Do you like Marvel and other movies talking about these things, or would you rather them just stick to, you know, destroying cities and blowing up buildings and all that stuff? Let me know. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you.